Hopefully I don't pass out during the stream from the heat. Let's see. Are we live? Hello? Chat. Chat. Hello, everybody. Let me know in chat if you hear me. If we are actually live right now. You probably just saw the Hearthband attachment open. That's a spoiler. We'll get to that in a little bit. Hello, everybody. 13 viewers. Lovely. Hello, hello. Good afternoon or early evening. Can you guys all hear me? Live, Animo, live. Okay, great. Cool. All right. Loud and clear, Captain. Fantastic. All right. Thank you, Dreaded. So, boys, welcome back. Yes, we are live. Now, don't mind me as I use you as a background while I do test farming on OSRS. Let's go. Yeah, I got to start doing my my farming. I'm so behind. And I got to do, like, my birdhouse runs. What kind of heat are we talking? So we'll get to that in a moment as well, because all three of us today, yes, because we are joined by two special guests, all three of us are suffering in silence today. So, hello, of course, welcome back to the stream. We have Ronnie's here as well. Hey, Ronnie, how's it going? Congrats on the big win, buddy. Very nice, ambitious list with the Thunderkin yet again. So I'm joined today by two very special guests, Jordan Schneider and Tom Hampshire, whose last name I pronounced properly this time for the one commentator who called me out on it. It was an error of my Canadian ways. Boys, how are you guys doing today? Tom, why don't you kick us off? What's new with you? What's been going on?
Yeah, it's nice to be back. I've been pretty busy at the minute. I've not managed to play as much Warhammer as I'd like, but very excited about the new Votann releases and new models, new rules coming up on the horizon. So, yeah, it's an exciting time for the faction.
Very nice, very nice. Yeah, I know you had told me you were playing some Emperor's Children, I think, last we spoke.
Yes, I've been playing some Emperor's Children for a little bit, but they took a pretty brutal round of nerfs on
I
the
heard.
data play after not being out very long. So especially for Death Guard and Knights to be so strong at the
Yeah,
moment, it's tough.
a little bit of a double punch there. And Jordan, how's everything going on your end?
Pretty good. I've spent my days playing Total War Warhammer and painting the last of my Votann collection.
Yeah, interesting. So,
So
you as well, you've taken a little bit of a break. I know
yeah,
you said you have an Iron Man tournament coming up, which is pretty cool.
yeah, this weekend.
This
This
weekend.
weekend.
Oh
May
my.
God have mercy on my.
And no emergency FAQ has come out yet for some of the absolute menace armies that are terrorizing everybody right now. Uh, so that should be a really
Yeah,
interesting weekend
it
filled
is
with
worrisome.
5 nights.
I might be taking many Thunderkin. Who can say?
Mm,
So
that speaks volumes,
yeah, people are
given
gonna
your
bring Knights.
stance. Yeah, yeah.
People are
People are going to
gonna,
be bringing
especially in an
knights.
Iron Man. So
Yeah. Chaos King
yeah,
plays with the 6-month membership. Thank you so much, man. I really appreciate that. Chaos and I have been, well, I should say Chaos has been teaching me how to play Spearhead on the side, which is actually an extremely fun game. And that does tie in a little bit with what I want to say next. It sounds like all of us have kind of slowed down a little bit in terms of playing Votann specifically. Now, I know for myself personally, it's been a couple of months since I've actually played a game of 40K, and I think a part of me is just kind of like, well, I just want to wait for the codex to come out. I don't know how you guys feel about it, but that's kind of where I'm in right now.
Yeah, I'd like to get, I think, at least one more event in with Votann just for uh, maybe ITC points. But yeah, I think looking forward to some new rules, some more list diversity, and yeah, some just new models and new data sheets. It's been a long time with the index in 10th edition.
Yes,
yeah.
it has. Um,
We have
Davidic
we have.
Keanu Reeves. Hello. Go ahead, Jordan. Sorry about that. I cut you off.
I was saying, we have definitely waited a very long time. We have toiled in the mines and soon we shall reap benefits.
Hopefully. We were all talking a little bit before, expressing our hopes, our excitement, and also some of our concerns. The biggest one being around, what is this new army rule we're getting? This new ability with these allocations and acquisition of tokens that give buffs to units. Hopefully, they don't just take this and apply it to the current data sheets, but rather go through everything and kind of like revamp. I think we're all hoping for a little bit of a revamp, but alas, we have no idea until we start getting some previews. We did get one rules preview, Jordan. How did you feel about that one? The new crest.
God, maybe Crest just a 4+ evil or not for the bear. Who can say?
Yeah.
But
Yeah. Taking sisters for a spin. Nice.
Could have been
good.
a better preview.
Yeah, I hope they got the worst one out of the way first. They're like, this is our worst rule. Just preview it right now while everybody's hyped up, and then we'll get the good stuff going. That would probably be really, really nice. Ronnie says to run his triple fort list. Ronnie, it's funny you say that. I'm actually probably attending an Ironman myself, and I am taking triple forts. I was looking for, kind of like Tom said, one last ride with this index, and it's probably going to be my old triple fort list. I really miss that a lot. I play Votann and Emperor's Children. Well, Tom's your guy, man. He plays, and actually Jordan too plays Emperor's Children, or started collecting them. So I'm the only one here who's not on the Emperor's Children train.
Even if they're maybe not in the best spot after the nerfs, they were a blast to play, regardless of how competitive they were.
They look really fun. I never had the chance to play as them or versus them, to be honest with you. I feel like their release happened so quick, and then we were on to the next one.
Yeah, they didn't get long in the sunshine, did they? Being the first of those Chaos releases and the only one to get hit with the nerf bat.
Yeah.
Well, I guess the Corn Demons had the funny deep bloodletter strat.
Oh my god, I hated that so much. That was the most frustrating strat I had ever played again. I think that was probably the last weekend I had played that strat existed, and then they got rid of it. And I was playing Tau versus that army, and it was brutal. It was brutal.
Yeah, I can imagine. It felt a bit like playing Yanari, playing that strat.
Yeah. Oh wow, 31 viewers, boys. Very, very kind of you to all join us. So that's pretty good. I guess everybody's very anxious and excited, eager, I should say, to see some of these lists. So I guess before we jump in, a big thank you to Vezla, who put this together. I think it's been a wonderful tool to have. I've seen a lot of other channels using it to reference lists, and without it, this stream probably wouldn't have happened because I wouldn't have had the brain capacity to go through BCP and pull every single one out. So big shout out to Vezla, who compiled this list for our viewing today. So guys, just looking at kind of WTC as a whole here, we have 336 different armies, 336 different lists, I should say. And in terms of representation, we have 16 or just shy of 5% taking Leagues of Votann. So how do you guys feel about this number and its place right now in the meta, I guess, more generally? Maybe we'll start with Tom.
Yeah, I think Votann are in a pretty good spot in the meta at the minute. I think they play well into some of the scarier things out there. We're so hard to stat check that even if someone does turn up with a whole bunch of big knights, we're so efficient into them with the judgment tokens that, yeah, I think especially for a team's army, the strength into knight stat check lists and just the ability to score really reliably makes Votann quite a strong team's army. I'm not surprised to see them, with so much representation.
Yeah, I definitely agree. How about you, Jordan?
Yeah, I was gonna say, there's what you said there were 16 lists, and I think there's 40 teams, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, hold on, let me give you a quick count. We got 4, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8.
Yeah,
9,
just over 40, right?
Yeah, just over 40.
Just under half of the teams. So that's always, if almost half the teams at WTC are taking a faction, that's a pretty good sign that the faction has some play.
Yep.
So
Yep. I agree. We, like, Votann are basically known as the anti-stat check list. That's always been one of their biggest strong points. Their ability to just kind of, regardless of who you're playing against, just keep scoring points has always been a very big strength for teams. And then, of course, the ability to actually pair into stat checks when stat checks have become suddenly so prevalent in the meta. Like it or not, I don't like it, despite us still being very good into them personally. But like it or not, we are still undeniably very strong into this new meta that's kind of emerged. Okay, so I guess we'll kind of jump in and take a look at some of these lists. There's spoiler alert, but there's one here that really stands out. So maybe we'll come back to this one a little bit later. But perhaps we could go through one list each here. Not sure if you guys have it up in front of you or if you'd prefer if I read it out. But I could kick things off with Team Canada as it is fitting. So Team Canada, we got Nick Blackburn, my boy. He's taking Leagues of Votann. And he has a pretty interesting take on, I believe, a similar derivative of the original Tim Schneider list. So we got the Brokir Iron Master taking the Grim Demeanor enhancement. So of course you get like max efficiency out of that Thunderkin unit. Got E-Champ with Appraising Glare, and we do have the inclusion of a Grimnir. The subtle little Grimnir makes an appearance here. We then have 2 squads of 10 warriors. We have a single Sagittar. So we are going to have a 10-man squad of warriors with the Grimnir. I guess you watched my video. And then we have 6 Thunderkin with the Grim Demeanor guy, 3 Thunderkin, double 10 Berserks with Mauls, double Land Fort. Oh, that's very interesting. So maybe one is starting on the board or in reserves. And then we have a 6-man Pioneer squad, a 3-man Pioneer squad, and a Jaeger squad. So pretty interesting. We have that Tim Schneider core here, but you can very obviously see, and I think this is a common theme even when we get to Tim's, that Brokir Thunderkin are on the rise. The stocks are going up right now, and why is that? Because they are pretty efficient into a lot of the scary lists that we're seeing here, Knights. So what do you guys think about this one? I think it's pretty interesting. It's a little bit ambitious. It's a little bit more of a unique twist on what we've been seeing doing quite well. Looks to have a little bit of everything while still building in some of those redundancies and, of course, some very solid answers to the big threats out there right now.
Yeah, we love to see the Grimnir. It's so great. I think that they've become a little bit more viable. Some good quality of life changes around them. But yeah, it's a really interesting list. It's a lot of Thunderkin, isn't it? Yeah, like you said, the Thunderkin stocks are an all-time high. They're so good into Knights, and especially for teams where, yeah, I don't know if it was quite 40 out of 40 teams, but you expect almost every team to have either one variety of Knights on their roster, don't you?
Yeah. This kind of just makes it be like, okay, if you get that matchup, if we set you up for it, we don't have to worry about it, which is always really nice. What are your thoughts on it, Jordan? Are you happy to see the Grimnir here?
And then I'm trying to figure out where.
I believe Jordan's been consumed by the warp.
Good heavens.
Okay, you're back. You've stabilized.
Okay, I was going to say, I'm just trying to figure out where everything goes in Transport's list.
Right? It's not abundantly clear to me or obvious. I feel like it's kind of flex. Like you could take the Berserks in reserves or put them in the land fort. Maybe you start everything on the board and then you just cycle out of the fort.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it's like he's only got 1 Sagittar, right? And he's got 20 warriors, so he's. You imagine he's putting the Grimnir and the 10 warriors in the Hecaton, but then our 10 Berserks starting on the table and marching into a ruin? Or are they starting in strategic reserves?
Yeah, maybe
I don't quite know.
like
I haven't
is
seen them
to
play the list,
cycle
right?
through the fort. But yeah, it's certainly tight on transport capacity, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a little bit tight for sure.
Yeah.
And then there's also that 3-man Thunderkin. Probably this one's probably definitely coming in from reserves alongside the 6-man. So yeah, I mean a lot of stuff on the board here, and I suppose when you don't have to worry about certain matchups, it could work well if you don't need to be. I mean, indirect isn't incredibly prevalent, but you know, if you had to pair into something that had indirect, you could at least avoid that matchup now, or maybe something that's a little bit faster that could threaten your staging points and hit the vulnerable berserks. Don't have to really worry about that either. So I could see this working in a team's capacity here. Maybe
yeah, and it is a real.
Also looking at his.
Yeah. Go ahead, Jordan.
He's also got. I was gonna say he's got rail cannons and missile launchers on his warrior squads.
Yeah, I noticed
Not
that
the
as
most
well.
common.
This
I
Not the
quite
most
like
common.
the launcher and the rail cannon for if you want them to shoot at, transports or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, this really does scream like I want to fight knights. From the Magnas and the Warriors to the missile launchers to the Thunderkin to the Berserks and just the raw amount of firepower, anti-tank firepower that's here. So this serves a very clear purpose. This list, I think. I know that I know that Nick is frequently in the Discord as well. I'm keeping an eye on the chat to see if he joins us, but if he does pop in later, maybe he could shed some light on some. I mean, if he wants to share, obviously these are his tactics. Maybe he wants to hold them until the event happens. But I agree. I'm a little puzzled on what his plan is here with the vehicles, the transport, the distribution like that, and what his game plan looks like. Because it is pretty, to me, a novel idea to start so much on the board and open and exposed. But it could work. How would you run your Sagittar models nowadays? L7 or Hylas? I think Hylas is still the mainstay, to be honest. Just the unfortunate inconsistency of it actually is a strength because people can't predict how much damage you'll do. and it could spike quite high, which is, I think, very helpful.
With Big Knights dropping as well to T11, the strength 12 on the casino cannons is very nice.
Yes, absolutely, absolutely. Does anyone have a link
really
to the
interesting
list?
how-
Send that.
I was gonna say we're like one of the few factions I think who still takes a lot of las cannons.
Mm-hmm.
Like the strength 12 profile. So it was a big for us specifically. The T11 was actually a pretty big boost.
Yes.
For our damage.
Yes. The twin bolters, for example, just suddenly wounding on force now when they're double judged with twin linked is massive. Massive.
Yeah.
Tom doesn't even play Votann anymore. Tom, you have a hater in chat.
I do. Yeah, that'll be Brando. I'm playing Votann tomorrow at the club, Brando. But I think Pistal Gaib went 4-1, was it, at the most recent Brighton GT with Votann?
Oh, was this the list that copied yours that you were telling me?
No, that was a Teams event. Brandon was running double forts, I think.
Nice. Ham. We're here to troll Tom. Yes, I guess out of the 38 viewers, only 7 are from North America, and the other 30 are from Southern UK.
Hey, there are a lot of Votann players on the South UK scene.
I love that.
It's so interesting. There's a lot of Votann players in the southern US. That's so wild. So
it's a geographical thing, surely.
Oh.
Cherno has a question about Tim Schneider's old list, so not the new one. He'd like to know why take solo Einir in a hackathon with Zerks. I mean, for myself personally, the E-Champ is just the powerhouse of a unit, right? Like, he's 60 points, he's got 3 las cannon shots in melee, does mortal wounds, and he punches up all the time. He just he wounds knights on 2s. Like, that's crazy. So if they're judged, of course. So I think it's just an extra trading piece, an extra item to have in your list that fits into transport capacity, so you get that extra 3-inch of movement out of it. Southerners can hold a grudge. Yeah, that checks out. That checks out. Greetings from Germany. Hey, D. Warren, welcome. Ronnie, Southern U.S. here. Yeah, it's the South. Yes. Okay, there seems to be a lot of people from the South who are here and representing Votann, so that's pretty funny, actually. Tom hasn't won a game with Votann in months, says Liam. Tom, how do you respond?
That's only because it has been months since I've played a game with Votann. So technically correct, which is the best kind of correct. But...
Yes. All right. Before this turns into a roasting session for Tom, who so generously joined us, Tom, do you want to do the honors and walk us through the Team England list that everybody is here for?
Yeah, I mean, this is the most interesting one, isn't it? Because it's completely crazy.
Yeah.
It's Greg is a fantastic player. I think he's the top-ranked Votann player in the UK at the minute. And yeah, I'm very interested to see what he does with Hearthband. I think particularly because of implications for when the Codex comes out. So if the army rule is changing and maybe some stat lines too, I think we're all very excited to see maybe potentially more attacks on Terminator melee profiles. Yeah, I'd be very interested to see this list in maybe the context of the new book in a couple of months' time.
Yeah.
Could you just scroll slightly to the side so I can see the list?
Course.
This is above it for me. But yeah, we were saying before this that I'm not even really sure what the Hearthband does. I haven't managed to put it on the table myself at any point.
Yeah.
We were running through the rules prior to the stream, but he's got an Iron Here champ with the Mass Hammer, 2 Grimnirs. Is that 3 Grimnirs I see?
It is 3. Let me just... I know you're on your phone right now. I thought you had it open. My apologies, Tom. Here, let me make it nice and legible for you.
I was gonna say, man, yeah. I think you could just go over their lists.
Yeah, it might be. If you're both not looking at these, then yeah, I'll save you all the trouble, and I'll save chat the headache of me zooming in and out. Okay, so so Greg's list is Hearthband, which is insane right out the gate. His list is titled Wizards in Cars. He's taking 1 Echamp. He's taking 3 Grimnirs.
I love that so much.
Insane. But it gets crazier because he's taking 3 Cals on top of that. So 3 Cals, 3 Grimnirs, and an Echamp. And
7 characters.
Is there 7 characters? Are there any enhancements? I think he put an enhancement in his description, but no, there isn't. No enhancements. And he's taking 30 warriors. These guys are running, I mean, is there anything special here? They have the standard 6-shot auto rifle, 6-shot rotary cannon. So 30 warriors, 7 characters. He's got 6 Sagittars, 3 sets of 5 Berserks with the Mauls, a single set of Hearthguard with a 5-man Hearthguard squad with plasma guns, and a set of Jaegers. So I don't even know where to begin. I don't even know where to begin. Jordan, what do you think about this?
It's triple Sagittar, or I'm sorry, 6 Sagittars, but no triple bikes.
No triple
which is
bikes.
What's normally there's 0 bikes.
There's no bikes, yeah. The only damage too here is the Hearthguard, the Twin Bolters, and the Grimnirs.
Yeah, but he's leaning into the, we were having a look at Hearthbound, and there's actually quite a few strats for combat, and with the Carls and the units, they're going to get the extra AP as well as the rerolls. 30 warriors is a lot of OC, especially in a teams environment. So this looks like a sort of a scrappy, combat orientated Votann list. I quite like the warriors with a couple of melee weapons mixed in as well for if they are getting stuck in with the characters and maybe trying to lean on that extra AP in some of those combat strats. But
Yeah,
yeah, it's a really strange list. I can see it scoring quite well, and just being a really solid defender for teams. I think it's be interesting to take maybe fixed, assassinate, and they didn't do. Yeah, ignore me. They changed fixed, didn't they? But there's certainly some potential for fixed with so many characters in the list.
yeah, it's pretty insane. I'm just okay. So I have for chat here. I got for myself, to be honest. I have Hearthband here pulled up, and for those of you who forgot, it just you saw this when it came out, and then you just repressed it to the back of your memory because you were never going to see it again. You basically get to re-roll hit rolls of 1 to the closest eligible units, and then if you have a Cal or a Hearthguard unit or Uthar the Destined, you improve the AP of that attack by 1. So your AP 0 bolters go to AP 1, your AP 2 ions go to AP 3, and then all those 6 shotguns go to AP 2. And then I guess for strats, you got a lot of melee-centric ones. I think an important one here is if we're assuming, of course, that we're going to have Cals leading the warriors, which seems totally valid. You get access to giving them a 4-up invuln, which, like Tom said, could be quite good for just scoring points, right? Like, here's this thing on an objective. If you shoot me, I'll pop a 4-up invuln. Maybe you don't kill me. And then if you send something in melee, I try to heroic you maybe with the berserks that are there as backup for a counterpunch. You have access to like 6-inch pile in and consolidate, so you could go quite far. And then, of course, pop the 4-up invuln, so you're a little bit more durable. I think it's interesting, to say the least. Yeah, there's no bikes, which makes it wild. Ronnie's having a field day in chat at this. 6-inch deep strike and Hearthband for the Hearthguard for sure. 6-inch deep strike for sure for the Hearthguard and Hearthband. They get access to rapid fire. Alexander says Greg's Hearthband selection was a list submission error, right? I don't think so. I don't think so.
I was gonna mention, so all of his calls, I'm sorry, 2 of his calls have teleport crests, and the Hessier in the Hearthguard squad has a teleport crest. So I can imagine, looking at this, he's gonna have 3 Sagittars with all of his berserks, and he's gonna have 3 Sagittars with all of his Grimnir and warriors, and then he's gonna have 2 units, like 2 5-man warriors led by calls and deep strike.
Yeah.
And
yeah,
a unit of Hearthguard led by a call and deep strike. So
yeah, that's a good call out.
Quite a lot of things in deep strike, right? And what's interesting is they have access to 6-inch deep strike. They get reroll ones to hit when they're shooting the closest, extra AP, and because the 5-man warriors and the call and the Hearthguard kind of too, they're pretty tiny profiles, right? When you're like trying to deep strike, especially the call 5 warriors.
Yeah,
They're going to be able to do a lot of angles. I think people aren't fully expecting.
it makes sense. It makes sense on paper.
Now, what that damage actually is questionable. Right? It's like, wow, you need 6-inch deep strike, the warriors and the call.
Yeah.
But
hey, they're getting that extra AP and ignores cover from the warrior unit.
Yeah.
It's true. Yeah. They ignore cover. You're right.
It is deceptively higher damage than we probably think.
I suspect also there's the whole like I've literally never seen this in my life factor when you're playing against something like this where you perhaps underestimate how much shooting you need or don't really know what to commit, because all of these little packages that you mentioned are quite efficient coming out of Deep Strike for like points purposes. They're very cheap too, right? Like the warriors come down to 50 points because they split, and then you get like a Cal attached to them to provide the Deep Strike buff, but that only takes it up to like 110. So it's not that bad. I don't know. It's kind of like this to me is the list I'm most curious about to see its performance, its matchups, like what their plan is here. Someone said that the plan is put this down as first defender. I guess it just plays super well into basically everything because you're playing your own game where you're just trying to score. I feel like it would struggle against like, I don't know. I feel like it would struggle against something like Creations of Bile, to be honest, where like you need to actually meet that stat check immediately, like turn 2, or you'll die or be pinned in your DZ. Then again, everything's in deep strike, right? So you kind of just come down anywhere. It's a weird one. You guys have any other thoughts on it before we move to the next list?
Yeah, I just think that we've sort of seen the two big teams archetypes for Votann, even in these first two lists, haven't we?
Yes.
We've seen sort of I'm here to smash knights, and then we've seen a really solid first defender list that's got, 30 warriors, loads of stuff, and is just going to score really well and be a great first defender.
Yeah.
Those are the two things we do really well as a faction, isn't it?
Yes.
In a team's context, I guess.
Very well said. From my own personal experience with teams, I love having triple warrior squads. I think it's been pivotal in just constantly getting the kind of scores you're looking for, the differentials you want to get as a defender. You just play your own game. You don't even really care what you're facing on the other side of the table. You could keep trading. If they're playing a slow game, you could just trade forever. You out-trade them, they bring something out, then you collapse on them. You have all the pieces you need to extend the game or change the pace as you see fit, and just keep scoring points and denying points as well, which is quite important. Ronnie's spamming. What's Ronnie saying? Hold on. The new crest gives crit hits precision. Crit hits precision. I'm so lost on this list. I talk too much. That he corrected to. Ronnie, you're killing me. Somebody thinks this list is playing fixed for cleanse. I could definitely see that as well. Every turn you throw something out, it cleanses. If your opponent fails to kill it, it probably just cleanses again next turn, and then you have even more units to do it later on. So, yeah, cleanse. Is extend? No, extend isn't fixed now, is it? I haven't played fixed.
Imagine if extend was fixed. No,
crazy.
extend is definitely a tactical.
That would be crazy. Yeah, so anti-mode, that plan doesn't work then. You can't take extend as a fixed.
This has always stuck with me. A man named Walter once said this in a chat one time, and I thought it was hilarious. Lists like this have big weirdo energy, and and it always throws the Matrix into a loop because nobody knows what it does, right? And
yeah.
It's like a warp, right? Like it's always there. Weirdo energy is always relevant, but you never know the full extent of what you're going to get from the big weirdo energy. It could be genius, or it could be like turning into a spawn. The chaos gods have given you too much weirdo energy.
Yeah, it's that novelty. Like nobody knows exactly how it plays or what it does or what they need to fight it and then to dominate it if they're playing attacker lists. So I think it's pretty interesting. I'm super curious to see how this one does. I guess at the end we'll share our thoughts on who we think, like who we're all rooting for, or which lists we're most excited for. But I feel like it's obvious we all kind of want to see how this one does.
It's something.
Yeah, like we've said, almost half of the field are running a Votann list somewhere in their team. So maybe that novelty factor is even stronger with Votann Sino. I think there was more Votann teams than Guard. There's certainly people are going to be, as we have so little list diversity, expecting a specific play style, which Greg's list is going to be very different from.
It's something I am fairly confident no WTC team practiced against until after the list submission, right? Until after the list review.
They all contacted their local Votann player and said, "Run this, please."
And all the local Votann players said, "What is this?
Yeah.
Where does everything go?"
It's a mistake. Chaos says he's painting some hobgrots right now. Nice, man. Getting ready for Chorfs? ? Engage, Storm, Behind, and Cleanse are all real easy for this list, and then bring it down and assassinate versus knights. Yeah, I could definitely see that for sure. But everything in deep strike, it makes a lot of sense if you're trying to get behind enemy lines, maybe something like that, or establish locus. That could be pretty cool. I always
I
like
think
lists
someone
like
maybe
this that play
mentioned
independent. Yeah,
the Carls potentially solo if you wanted to do fixed with this list. I suppose you have that flexibility, don't you?
true. You do. You absolutely do. Can the cows deep strike themselves, or do they have to be leading a unit like the E-champ?
Ooh.
I was gonna say, I think that's in the teleport crest. Now we gotta double check, right?
Yeah, now we
Now
gotta
all
double
this,
check this. Hold
all
on.
this weird.
Just throw me in a loop. Maybe
The
Greg doesn't know
Carls,
himself. He's gonna find out at the event.
the Terry champs definitely have to be leading a unit.
Because I think that would actually be insane. You're right. Like, if he could just solo drop Cal's backfield on a 40 mil base, like, you're just going to score for
Yeah, hand
days.
out some judgment tokens as well, but no, Teleport Crest is leading a unit, so they're probably
Unfortunate.
working with those warriors. And in
Unfortunate.
half
Yeah.
bands, they give the Carl buffs to the warrior squad, right? It lets them use some different strats as well as getting the extra AP.
True. Alexander says, "Go Greg." Yes, go Greg. We're all rooting for you. So this is a
Oh,
pretty
Greg.
cool list. I liked it. Chat, what do you guys think about this
It's
one?
most
Let us know
courageous.
while we move on to Paul's from Team France.
I was gonna say most courageous list.
It is the
right?
most courageous list, hands down. Hands down. To take it to an event like this, like I don't know how you even keep it a secret. Like, I feel like if you attended any singles event with this list or any other team's event, it would have made headlines. But he's been keeping it private. The crest says, well, this model's leading a unit. Yeah, unfortunate. Have to lead. Oh, okay. Chat's still catching up with us. Okay, so we'll go off to Team France next. So Team France, historically a very strong team. I'm always a big fan of the list that they take, and they are bringing Votann this year. So we have I think from this point on, every other list is running Oathband and not Hearthband anymore. So I won't even differentiate the detachments because they're all running the regular one, the Index. You cannot deep strike, but you can strat reserves on a 40 millimeter base. That's true. You can, for sure. All right, so Paul Newberger. So Paul's got an Iron Master with Appraising Glare, and he's got a second Iron Master. So 2 Iron Masters. So right out the gates, I feel like this is going to be an anti-Knight list. We then have 2 squads of Warriors running the 6 shotguns each, 3 Sagittars, a squad of 6 Thunderkin, the 2x10 Berserks, the double Landfort, the 6 Pioneers, the 1 Jaeger. Okay, so now we're getting a little bit closer to that Tim Schneider archetype that he's so well defined for us last year. And the big difference here, I would say, is what was cut? I think he cut one of the 6-man bikes, and instead we're leaning a little bit heavier into the anti-tank with the second Brokier and, of course, the Thunderkin that are accompanying him. So the one with Appraising Glare sits in the back, and then the other ones obviously come in from reserves and try to pick up a Knight with sustained hits. So how do you guys feel about this one here? I know a lot of them are running Tim's kind of design, so for those we'll consolidate it. Tim is the next one in line here, the next exciting one. But just for now, like how do you kind of see? I guess it really is obvious that Knights are shaping what people are bringing quite significantly, especially for Votann. But what do you think about this trade-off here between the 6-man bikes and pulling in the Thunderkin?
Yeah, I think that's going to be the question for the rest of these lists, isn't it? It's going to be where is the right balance between bikes and Thunderkin, and maybe even extra warriors. But yeah, I think it's a super interesting list. The double Iron Master big breaks of the Thunderkin are just they're going to smash Knights, aren't they? It feels like it's got a lot of play into the current meta.
Yeah, I think that makes sense. Finding that right balance is always a bit tricky. Like I personally, I'm not too keen on the Thunderkin on WTC. I actually prefer them on GW terrain, just because I feel like it's a little bit. You could technically, on many maps, you can start the Thunderkin on the board on GW, stage them turn 1, and then have access to 2 objective markers that are wholly within 18 inches. I'm not sure. What's it like on UKTC? Have you had a chance to play Thunderkin, Tom?
I am not a massive Thunderkin advocate. I think I said in the video that I did on your channel. So they are now, like we said, they're the most appealing they've been in a long time. Not necessarily because of anything that's changed about them, but because of the meta changing around them. There are so many knights at the moment that they're 2+ anti-vehicle with access to sustain 2 is just very attractive at the minute.
Yeah.
So I haven't played a ton of them on UKTC, but there are some solid firing lines. But I always have found, especially trying to bring them in from the board edges, they struggle to get angles a little bit on UKTC.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's what I felt with WTC as well. I'm curious to see how these ones all perform. Jordan, I know you're not too big on Thunderkin either. Has this kind of shift we're seeing here in the Tim Schneider build, which I know you are a big advocate of, kind of swayed your opinion a little bit?
It's pretty smart. Like, so if almost every faction takes knights, right, and every team takes knights, and some teams are taking double knights, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, you need knight answers, and specifically, the graviton blast gun kind of gets around all of the defenses that the knights bring, right? Like a big thing that knights bring is like 4-up invulns, right? Like
Yeah.
especially for Imperial Knights. And like you just, but a lot of times knights are gonna have cover, right? Their vehicles, it's really hard to get vehicles specifically out of cover. But your AP2, you don't care if, like, no matter what, you're gonna be making them save on 4s, or they're gonna have to pop their 4-up invuln. Basically, you do nothing, and they're saving on 4s. But you also don't need double judgment tokens. It's kind of interesting. Like, you can use this unit. You just need like 1 judgment token on a knight, and now like you get the full power of the Thunderkin unit. So I think it's got a lot of play.
Yeah, because you get the +1 to hit, don't you?
With the Iron Master. So technically,
yeah,
they're agnostic.
Yeah, right. Yeah, like you can judge. Say they take like 6 big knights, and you're like, oh crap, I only judged 4. You can still take your Iron Master and 6 Thunderkin and throw them into an unjudged big knight.
Yeah.
So it's pretty unique in that aspect, right? And so I have been pretty down on Thunderkin before, but when the meta is defined by knights, right? And we very specifically have a unit that is quite good into knights. It kind of gets around all of the knight advantages. So
yeah, I think you nailed it absolutely. And I think something else that, just building off of what you mentioned with the 4-up invuln, that's quite cool about having the Thunderkin unit is that independently. So, like, Votann has a lot of answers for knights, right, through different iterations. It's not just like, here's my one answer. If it dies after I trade it, I can't kill knights anymore. Like, your army works pretty well to take down, I would say, like, 2 knights a turn if you really had to. And what this means is now somebody has to choose. Where do they put their 4-up invuln? And this makes that other set of units that are going to be going for the second knight all the better at taking it down. So it's really nice having something that's completely independent of how you've allocated your tokens and the need to actually have to maybe expose units that are a little bit more reliant on getting those tokens out. Like, usually what people do is they bring forward the tanky stuff that isn't judged so that we can't really shake them until they acquire tokens. In this case, you don't really care about that, especially if someone's running 5 knights. You judge 4, the 5th one just walks out and he dies to the Thunderkin. Okay. So a pretty good take. It takes a very solid core foundation from Tim's meta list, and then kind of just adapts it for the actual current meta, which are knights. And now, speaking of Tim Schneider, Team Murda himself from Team Germany, we have the list he titled Shotgun, I guess because he did it first. And what we have here is a Brochure Iron Master with the Appraising Glare Enhancement. We have a single squad of warriors, so we're much lighter on kind of like cheap trading pieces here, and primary denial. We then have 3 Sagittars. We have 2 3-man Thunderkin squads, double 10 Berserks, double Landfort, double 6-man bikes, and a single Jaeger. So kind of in line with what Tom was saying was with the rest of the list, the themes are going to be like, what have we traded off to get the Thunderkin in? Whereas Team France got rid of a set of bikes, Tim has actually gotten rid of one of the Hearthkin warriors, essentially, to fit that in. So, and he's actually gone for just 2 3-man. So again, even this is quite unique compared to what we just saw with Team France. I'm not sure what to make of the 3-mans here. What do you think, Jordan?
I mean, he's probably going to be starting them in strategic reserves, right? But that's a really good piece for strategic reserves. Like, it's super easy to get room for as a 3-man. And they can just come in. They're cheap, right? You can have them do, like, I imagine screening will be very, like, thinking about, like, behind enemy lines, right?
Yeah.
I doubt WTC level players will be giving up the behind enemy lines, not screening their backfield.
Yeah.
But it's always, the question is always there, right? And I really imagine that this is going to be a 3-man that just comes in from the side and contributes some damage, right?
Yeah, I think that's the key differentiator. It looks like whereas Paul's list is looking to have that independent unit that could go after knights, Tim's is a little bit more synergistic in that this is going to help chip down vehicles, and then the rest of my army will have an easier time, like just finishing that model off. What do you think about it, Tom?
Yeah, on the three-man units of Thunderkin, I think one of the things you spot immediately is there's only one warrior squad. So maybe the smaller Thunderkin units can do some of the jobs that the little 5-man warriors sometimes do.
Yeah.
But I love the 2 big bike squads. That's right up my alley, and I maybe prefer them to more Thunderkin. Particularly in the late game, a big fan of the big bike squads.
Yes. I remember you mentioned in your interview you use them pretty effectively towards the end of the game when your opponent doesn't really have an answer for them, and then they kind of just cause mayhem across the board. And I guess what the few games I've watched of Tim play, he does seem to be, he uses his pieces depending on the matchup. He'll take one set of something and be very aggressive with it. So I remember seeing like a famous one against Orcs where he basically throws his bikes up turn 1 with the scout and then move, and then like ends up just tying up everything in the opponent's DZ. And I guess like you do have that utility, and if he's very comfortable using that, taking pieces away from maybe something that would sit back, like the Warriors, and just stand on an objective for OC, can be accomplished by the Thunderkin. They get out, they shoot something, they'll probably pick up a 5-man squad pretty reliably, and then if something moves on, they're only 3 OC, but if you overwatch on 5s, the volume of shots, you have blast, maybe you do enough to also reduce your opponent's OC by picking up some amount of models on the battle line unit. So I could see that working as well. I think that's a fair shout out. So I think this one is also going to be something on the lookout for in terms of which lists we're kind of curious to see how they perform. Tim's shift away from his original into his final form, as Jordan called it.
Yeah,
I was
going to say,
interesting.
He is the Kaiser. I don't even know if he's lost a game yet this year. It's pretty interesting. So I imagine he will do very well, and he's kind of tuned this list. Like, he's taken what has done his good historically and kind of unleashed his final form, right? This is the last iteration that we'll probably see of this list before the Codex, so that's it. I don't know what else to say. It's a good list.
Yeah. A few bits in chat. Ronnie, it is Ronnie's world with Thunderkin. If you are a Thunderkin fan, it is definitely your time to shine. And the atlas on why people like the bikes that much. I guess Votann are a really fast early game a lot of the time, but the bikes provide some late game mobility, and they do hit really hard, especially with sustained 2 access, and you sometimes get the CP back on the bigger squad. Plus, like we said, you have potential to do some fun move blocking stuff if you do want to get aggressive with them.
Yeah, I think they're a great piece to have. The output is insane, like Tom said, when you pop sustain hits 2 on that thing. I actually think even, Jordan, you had taken several 6-man bike squads when you had won your event a little while ago, right? Like when we had done the interview. It was a similar archetype to that with just like a lot of Sagis and a lot of bikes.
It was, yeah, I took 18 bikes.
Yeah, insane.
Nice,
Six
mate. Right,
stars.
beautiful.
Beautiful. What a scene.
Yeah.
Okay, so I don't know if we'll be able to go through each and every single one with that level of detail, but these were kind of like the main ones that I think most people were kind of curious about seeing. And I think we'll just call out some of the maybe more unique build
Yep.
options that I see for the rest of them here. So Terrence from Hong Kong is taking a
Yeah.
list here. He's running. This is actually quite unique. He's got two 10-man Hearthguard squads with
Two
plasma
Carls
guns.
too.
Two cows too. Yeah, I saw the two cows and I was like, is he copying Team England? And I was like, wait, there's no way. And then I saw them. Two Hearthguard, two 3-man Thunderkins, and then two 5-man Berserk. So this is actually a pretty interesting and unique build as well. Maybe we'll talk a little bit about this one. So I like this. This is actually pretty cool. This is something that I would have always loved to put on the table, but I just never got around to it because I had my doubts about, I still do have my doubts about the 10-man Hearthguards. I just think they're just a little bit too expensive for what you get out of them, but maybe there's something here that we're missing. What do you guys think about this one?
I was playing something very similar to this at the start of the edition with those lethal plasmas on the big squads of Tomies, and yeah, it's I don't think it's the best way to spend points in our codex anymore, but it certainly can punch if you roll well.
I feel like it's quite addicting to pick up like literally 75 dice on the grenade launchers and, and throw them just to end up doing like 3 wounds to a vehicle. But still, I think like you live off of that hype for the rest of your life when they do all connect.
Yeah, the feeling of rolling a lot of dice is definitely abundant in this list.
Yeah, and I think it's interesting here that we have.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, what was that, Jordan?
I was gonna say, I think it's interesting. I said you know, something similar, and I think it's in Hong Kong.
Jordan, you're in the warp. You're in the warp again.
Ah,
They've come to claim you. It weirdly stops as soon as I call it out.
Just
I'm
go
not
on.
sure why. As soon as I call it out, it stops immediately. But yeah, you can carry on. It seems to be fixed now.
I was saying that it's interesting how beginning of the edition we were playing something very similar, and now like the Asian scene is starting to blow up, right, for Warhammer, and it seems like they're going through the same steps of list building iterations that we made, right? Like, oh, let's play
That's an
20
interesting
Earth
take.
card,
That's a
and then
very
next year
interesting take. Yeah, that's an interesting take as
I don't
kind
know
of
for
like
sure.
the globalization of Warhammer picks up in the competitive scene and people start maybe getting a little bit more into it. They're kind of all following the natural progressive steps of where list building started and where it kind of ended up. I could see that. I think that's an interesting take.
Yeah.
I would love to run this. I don't know if I don't know how strong it is, but I would love to run this. It looks really fun. And like, you get the lethal hits. Like he's obviously playing still for Knight meta. Like he's doing what he can to buff up the damage of his Hearthguard. He has Grim Demeanor, he has the Cows for lethal hits, he has plasmas, the extra AP, he's taking the Berserks, he's taking the Brokir Thunderkin, so it's not really just like Hearthguard. It's like, okay, I want Hearthguard as the core. It's going to be this big brick. This is going to be my big primary play. It's going to do a lot of damage. And then I'm also bringing in some other elements to kind of help support and deal with those tougher stat checks. This would be really good list into Marines.
Those big units of Terminators do just die so fast now with the armor contempt changes. I think that more than anything recently has hurt them a lot.
Yeah, they're vulnerable to just like being 2 wounds. It makes you too vulnerable to everything. Like the tank shock, like a tank shock will pick these guys up. You roll some 1s, pick them all up. There's no real like redundancy and survivability, and -1 damage just it ain't what it used to be these days, unfortunately. Okay, so
or -1.
yeah. Yeah, -1 AP. Yeah.
I think you said -1 damage. And I
Yeah.
was like,
Yeah,
oh,
they
I'm
would love
killed.
-1
I was-
damage.
Oh, -1 the wound. Yeah, yeah. Sorry, -1 the wound. Yeah, yeah, you're right. It's the third time I actually say that in a conversation to someone this week, and the week just started. So, okay, so then here we see for Team Hungary we have the same list. We have the OG Tim Schneider list, but there is a Grimnir that's been included in here. So I guess the Grimnir just gives a little bit of an extra punch. I'm starting to see this a little bit more. We are kind of seeing Grimnirs come in with 5-mans, just like it gives you a little bit more extra damage on that warrior that you would otherwise just throw away to die on the objective. Like now it actually does punch if something is out there. Like 5 Marines, you actually have a chance to pick them up. You grenade, you shoot with the Grimnir, and then you pick up a squad. So you don't only deny, you actually do pick up a resource as well. So that is pretty cool. A nice little change here with the times.
I was gonna say,
Oh, that's so great to see.
It is great to see.
It takes a reason to kill the Grimnir, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
a Grimnir and 5 warriors takes a lot more firepower to remove than what people really want to give, right?
You're
So
right.
it's kind of a great initiate and the start of the trade. And a big thing with that's kind of like the Grimnir is just a massive scam artist, right? Like if your opponent undercommits, boom, even if you fail a battle shock test, right, you're gonna sticky that objective if the warriors are still alive, right?
Yeah.
And even if there's warriors, you're still gonna hold it, right? If they didn't get any OC on it, because you're just guaranteed to not be battle shocked, right? So
yeah, it brings
it required. Yeah,
utility.
it tells your opponent you have to bring a lot to kill this, a lot more than you want to bring out. So
Yep, I agree. I agree. The
a really cool
It's a bunch of 4-up invuns as well that can be just really swingy.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was gonna say, just last week I played against Death Guard and they shot a blight drone or whatever, the Foted bloat drone.
Yeah, the 3 damage one.
Yeah, I made 7 out of 8 4-up invulns on a Corv,
Wow.
and completely through the Death Guard shooting, like whack. He basically lost a whole blight drone shooting, right? Because I just invulns, right?
Yeah.
Just wild.
Yeah. But that's what those extra wounds with the 4-ups can do for you, I guess. I really like them. Like we've said, extra diversity in the lists, more data sheets that are viable. It's just great to see them worming their way into those already established archetypes.
Yep. Yeah.
Yeah.
Ronnie missed the list. He had to take a phone call. So Ronnie, it's basically the OG Tim Schneider list with the double Berserks, double Landforts, 6/6 Bikes, Eagers. And then he has a Grimnir that's been added in to attach to one set of 5 warriors, just for some extra output, defensive durability, and utility. Okay, cool. And then Team Iceland. So this looks to be, just the Tim Schneider list. Oh, this one has 18 bikes. 18 bikes. So Tim Schneider build 18 bikes. So this is actually a double Schneider. This is a Stucken Schneider and a Tim Schneider build combined together. That's pretty funny.
The Dragon Ball Z.
Yeah, final form.
Fingers.
So yeah, okay. So this was pretty cool. So we've sacrificed the Sagittar, and instead we've sacrificed the Sagittar and a character, and instead we've gotten in some extra damage. So I think it's just a lot of people trying to find a way to find more answers for the increasingly demanding stat checks that are becoming prevalent. It's like now you got the double 10-man Berserks, you got the double Forts, and now you have triple Pioneers. You could sacrifice one to move block and not feel guilty about it because you got 2 more 6-man bikes. So one ties up the opponent's DZ, does some damage, is annoying, and then when they do bring out something more durable, at least you have more redundancy still to help. Any lingering thoughts on this one, guys?
Yeah, it's that we're seeing the fine tuning across these lists of exactly where you want to invest points for damage. Is that the anti-vehicle 2+ on the Thunderkin, or is it the ignores cover, slightly higher volume, slightly more reliable, maneuverable bikes? Yeah, it'll be very interesting to see what plays better and how these slight variations perform.
Yeah, it seems like the bulk of people have settled on the double 10-man berserks as being like, are arguably, I would say, one of the most efficient setups that you can run for Votann. And now, like you said, people are kind of just tweaking the auxiliary stuff around it to fit it into either their playstyle or what they deem more valuable. So it is interesting to see the development of this list over time. Latvia is running what appears to be the Tim Schneider list. Yes, okay, so this is just the Tim Schneider list, except there's no Jaeger. There are Jaegers, it's just in the wrong order. Okay, so Latvia running OG Tim Schneider list. Not much to say there. It works well. We move into Team Sweden now. So we have, dare I say,
Tim.
oh, a slight derivative of Tim Schneider's list here. This is, I think, what was it? Was it Team France last year that ran Tim Schneider's list, but with double 10 berserks and a single 5? I actually like that. It was pretty nice. You get the extra trading piece. But yeah, so this list is basically running Tim Schneider list, but instead of just double 10 berserks, you have an extra set of 5 berserks to help, which works. It works quite well. Nothing negative to say about this. No triple fort, says Ronnie. No, I'm not seeing any triple forts here, Ronnie. Kind of sad not to see 3x5 berserks.
I want to talk about WTC terrain for a second.
It's
It's really strong for 10-man berserks.
Mm-hmm.
Like the staging, the difference in the no man's land, right, between your staged ruins is substantially different than what we're used to, right? On GW terrain, it's very short.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
And it's just 10-man berserks are so good on WTC terrain, and I think basically every list we've seen except one has multiple 10-man berserk squads, because I think a lot of it is also the terrain. Terrain is just incredible for them.
Yeah, absolutely.
So.
WTC does favor it. Go ahead, Tom.
Yeah.
I was just completely agreeing that the rule set and the terrain for WTC definitely pushes you towards the big bricks of berserkers and forts. It's definitely the best format for them.
Yeah. I remember, so like my store, we exclusively played WTC when I started playing competitive 40K, and that was kind of like where I learned how to play the game on it. And I was running the triple fort list, so the triple land fortress, for about a year. And when I had tried it on GW for the first time, I was like, oh my god, it's even better on GW terrain, just because the terrain actually really does have a significant impact on the use of the units you have and how much value you get out of them. It's just by design. Like, WTC has better staging opportunities that are closer together. You just move from one ruin to the next. Jump pack units love WTC terrain. They just go anywhere they want and then hit your zone pretty safely, and they just enter your DZ. So it does make a big difference, and it is interesting to see how much the terrain can actually impact list design and building. So I guess the takeaway is, if people are just going to net list, make sure you understand which terrain format they're using the list on. Okay, yeah.
The 2-inch engagement range.
That too.
The 2-inch engagement range with the walls means berserks can make a lot more charges.
Yeah.
That they could not make on GW. On GW terrain, you can screen out the berserks from behind walls, and you can tell them you have to go around the wall. Whereas in WTC, can't do that. If you're going to be next to a wall, you're going to be charged. So
yeah, I agree. I'll just catch up with chat real quick. Ronnie, I read you the wrong list, eh? Yeah. Okay, which one was it that you wanted? You wanted the double brick. Where are they? That was here. Yeah, Ronnie. So he was running double Cal with Grim Demeanor, single warrior squad, 4 Sagis, double Thunderkin, double 5-man Berserks, double 10-man Hearthguard with Plasmas, double 3-man Bikes, Jaegers. So pretty good redundancies here, actually, just looking back at it now. Aaron Ross says, yeah, WTC sucks, favors fast-moving melee too much. It does definitely favor melee armies a lot more than shooting, but I think they changed the lists recently, the map terrain setup recently, and it seems to be a little bit more open to support shooting. Staging allows berserkers to clap cheeks hard. Yes, agreed. Okay, so New Zealand. Let's see. New Zealand. How many more do we have? Oh, we're nearly at the end. There's just 5 left. New Zealand. What are we running? Is this going to be Tim Schneider's list?
Another variation of Tim's list.
Another variation of Tim. As soon as I see the 3 Sajis, that's when I'm like, yeah, it's Tim Schneider's list. So here we have essentially 3 Ioneer champions with mass hammers each. A couple enhancements, Appraising Glare, Wayfarer's Grace. So you essentially have 4 Ioneer champions throughout the game. You have double warriors, triple Sagi, double 10-man berserk, a 5-man berserk, double land fort, 6-man pioneer, 3-man pioneer. So I think it's safe to say this embodies what we've been seeing, the common theme throughout this whole stream, which is people have kind of landed on what they want as their core, being that double berserk brick for WTC, and then they've kind of sprinkled in some other variants. So again, this to me looks like it's a little bit of that anti-tank, anti-knight tech with the triple E-champs, because they do wound big knights on 2 if they're judged. Versus instead of taking the Thunderkin, they've opted for just more melee. They could ride into land forts with the Berserks as well because of the transport capacity, which gives them some extra movement disembarking. So very solid. I think E-champs are also quite good as an alternative, personally.
Yeah, someone was asking in the chat about E-champs, and they're 60 points for an activation that can hit way above its weight.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the Mortals, the Strength 12 Hammer, and an extra activation. I quite like the 3 of them in a punchy WTC list.
I think they're great.
It's
like
melee
the wounds too. The melee's awesome too. Everything's great about them.
Once again, I was gonna say the melee is so good into a very specific profile, right? Which is knights.
Yeah.
You can Votann is unique. We can make our melee AP4. So we can just turn off, if we're touching knights, we can just turn off their saves, and we can crush them with damage 3 hammers and E-champ mass hammers, right?
Yep. We just run over them. Yeah, and also with 3, you have that redundancy
we can shoot them
for mortal wounds to make sure it connects. Oh, sorry, Jordan. You were in the warp. You disappeared in and out.
Go ahead. No, I wasn't going to say that.
I think you're back. I think you're back. Okay. Yeah, what were you saying?
I was just saying, you can go ahead. I don't...
Oh, that was it. I just closed my thoughts on it. I think the redundancy of 3 is nice.
Yeah.
Okay, Team Switzerland. So, let's see. Is this a Tim Schneider list? Yep, the triple Sagi, and then immediately to the Berserk. So, again, just another variant of the Tim Schneider list. This one's actually a little bit more loyal to the original design. I think it is literally the original design, except it's a little bit lighter on bikes. Yeah, and they have an E-champ instead. So we can skip over that one for now. Team Spain, double E-champ, single warrior. Is this gonna... Okay, all right, let's talk about this one. So Team Spain is taking double E-champ, Wayfarer's Grace, no Appraising Glare. So there's no Appraising Glare in this list. They're then taking a single set of Hearthkin Warriors. I'll move it here so you guys can see on stream. 3 Sagittars, 3x5 Berserks. I know somebody in chat was asking where the 3x5 Berserks are. 2 sets of 5 Hearthguard with Vulcanites, double Land Fort, triple 3-man bikes, and a set of Jaegers. This is pretty interesting.
So that's the 5-mans going in the forts, and the little berserker squads in the Sagis. I mean, it's a nice little combo, isn't it? Especially as you get a little points discount for being a 5-man squad of the Terminators. You get the reroll wounds on the devs when you're coming out of the fort. It's a I think, like we maybe said, a list archetype from maybe a bit earlier in the edition when we were testing stuff out, but yeah, it certainly has played, doesn't it?
Yeah, and I think it's interesting that they've still taken the 3 sets of Berserks, because, like, you know, what this looks like really, if we like, you know, clean the clarity of our glasses, is it kind of looks like Tim Schneider's list, but just deconstructed. You know, we have like the double forts, you have the Berserk pieces, but instead of 10s, they're 5. So we've gone for just more activations over the smaller unit count, but higher, like, I guess, activation damage or potential out of each unit. I love Hearthguard, and this is very reminiscent to me of the control list I used to play, where it was triple Land Fortress and double Hearthguard. I also like that the pilot put teleport crests on both of the Hearthguard squads, so it's very flexible. If for some reason in the game he wants to have both Start and Deep Strike, he totally could. If he prefers to have them on the board, he absolutely can as well. You're only giving up a single 4-up invuln, and when you have cover and armor contempt, usually that 4-up invuln rarely comes up. And then, of course, splitting the bikes up into the 3x3 is very reminiscent of that control list as well. You just get a lot of good screening potential. You can go up and down and threaten more angles. The backfield objective once you get through to it. And then you have the damage for the stat checks with the 3x5 Berserks, which usually would be replaced by a third Land Fortress in the original build. So I think this one's pretty cool. What do you think, Jordan?
It's a list that I feel like was very common a year ago, right?
Yeah.
Same like MSU style Votann.
Yeah.
Yeah. I do think there is a slight weakness with Berserks. Their variance hits them a lot harder than you would like, right?
Yeah.
They don't have the quantity of race in the 5-mans with the hammer. And so it's just the chance of committing something, like you're like, I need my 5-man Berserks to kill something.
Yeah.
And it just doesn't kill it, is very high with the 5-mans.
Yep, it's happened to me a few times.
I think that's why.
There's a lot of points in
why.
the dev wound terms as well, which maybe aren't as efficient into knights as some of these other lists that we've seen.
Yeah. So I ran the numbers actually for fun on the Hearthguard coming out of the Land Fortress with the reroll wounds. The shooting is abysmal, right? I think they do about 4 to 5 damage to a knight on average with the full shooting, including the devs, including the grenade launchers. It's abysmal. Like it's horrible. But when they do connect in melee and you pop the AP2 strat, it actually becomes a little bit more comparable to what the Berserkers do. So to a 5-man squad, I should say, anyway. So you end up getting, I think it was about 10 to 12 damage, or 10 damage or so with the 5 guys connecting in melee. And then the E-Champ comes in and also, I think, had done about 12 damage on average, excluding the mortal wounds. So when you combine like the 12, the 10, and the 4 to 5, on average, this unit coming out of a Land Fortress, without even the Land Fortress shooting it, kills a knight. It does, it's a few more hoops to get through, but the humble Hearthguard can potentially do it. Damage 3 is so valuable, says Ronnie. Yeah, I agree. It absolutely is. Like, I do think you probably get better mileage out of the 10-man Berserks, which are essentially the same price, actually cheaper by 10 points when you compare it to Hearthguard and the E-Champ. And we aren't really seeing that many infantry blobs presently. Maybe that'll change with Black Templar. I don't know. But yeah, for now, I think the Hearthguard are probably like a little bit under the Berserks for output.
You see why a lot of these lists choose the big Berserkers rather than the characters in the 5-man terms.
Yeah. It's just more efficient, unfortunately.
Yep.
No one is running Thunderkin. Stuart, you missed all the Thunderkin. They were at the start. There's actually a ridiculous amount of Thunderkin that are here. So I'll post the link to the lists again for you, and feel free to go through these and take a look at some of those front 4 lists. They all have some Thunderkin in them, except for Team England. Any play in Cowls with Heartguard for lethal and 5 pluses? For lethals and 5...
We saw one list running 2 big brick to Hearthguard with Carls for those lethal plasmas and maybe the invuns. I can't remember if they had the teleport crests, but...
Yes, that's what it was.
That's certainly a way to play them.
Yeah. So we got 4 lists left. So this one here is going to be from Romania. Let me just see if it's another Tim Schneider list. There's one list coming up that the title of it was really funny. This is literally Tim Schneider's list, so we can skip over this one. It should have a very good chance at the meta. Then we move to Portugal. So Portugal, is this another Tim Schneider list? It's another Tim Schneider list. All right, lovely. Except this time they've split the two 6-man bikes into one set of 6 and one by 2x3, which I actually quite like. I enjoy having smaller 3-mans. I think they're really good in matchups against gunline armies. Personally, I found them absolutely invaluable for me when I had those setups, those matches inside of teams events. Michael Blackford from South Korea is running. Is it the Tim Schneider?
Tim Schneider special.
It's the Tim Schneider special. Okay, so just another Tim Schneider list here. Lovely, nice and simple. And then this is the funny one. Jay from Poland. His list is named TLDR Tim's list, so I don't even have to read this one. Lovely, thank you. So I guess it looks like out of the 16 lists that we looked at, or how many there are here, I'd say like at least 70% of them are Tim Schneider's list, basically like to 95%, the original one. And then I'd say the rest, many of them kind of had some slight deviations. And I would probably say there were about like 6 or 5 unique builds that I think are pretty exciting to see at like a top level play, right? This is like the best players in the world are playing here. And it's going to be really nice to see what they could kind of get out of some of these units and these new lists. So I guess kind of just like wrapping up our thoughts, I know the answer to this, but Jordan, maybe we'll start with you. Which list are you most excited to see perform at this event?
It feels like cheating going first. This is like going first in alpha striking your opponent, right?
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, I have to choose my queen, right?
Yeah, it has
I have
to
to choose
Tim,
the Kaiser himself.
Oh, the Kaiser! You're going with Tim. Okay, interesting. Okay.
I'm too scared of politics to choose Team England's list. That's a very scary list.
Yeah, the obviously all room for Greg to do really well, but I do think one of the most interesting bits to come out of this will be having a look at where that balance sits for damage. Should you be taking more bikes or more Thunderkin, or maybe we've even seen some people experimenting with bringing extra E-champs into the list. So, yeah, I think beyond just it will be fascinating to see how Greg's list places that sort of final tuning for the index, shall we say, the last couple of months of competitive play of exactly where do we fall into the meta for what units are we bringing. I think that's going to be really interesting to see.
Yeah, I agree. I think that's really well said. We basically had, like 2 years with our index, and to see the evolution. I remember at the beginning we were seeing things like triple 10-man Hearthguard bricks. Then it kind of like evolved into like triple land fort, and then we always had some people that were running Thunderkin on the side, and then it was all kinds of bikes and Sagittars that became very popular as well, and no land forts, and now we've kind of built into Tim's. And as we reach the end of our life cycle for the index, like it's I think it's exciting to see where things end up and compare that to where they began, and just kind of as a showcase to how the meta changed over time, and what ended up having the biggest impact at the end. I think that is pretty good. And of course, without saying, I think Greg's list here is for me the one that I'm most keen on seeing played. I hope we get to watch it. I don't know if they stream. I'm pretty sure they do stream WTC. Hopefully he gets to be on one of the stream tables, because that would be lovely to watch. And I think everybody's a little bit curious how this one is going to pan out. But yeah, I agree. I think overall we have a really solid understanding of what the Votann meta looks like here in these lists on WTC terrain anyway, and how much Knights have shaped the meta. So, do you guys have any closing thoughts maybe that you want to talk about?
I don't think anything that I've not already said, other than, just how exciting a time it is for Votann at the moment. Particularly these lists that maybe aren't the index detachment, that could play very differently soon with the new army rule.
Yeah. Jordan?
I was going to mention, you talked about like the evolution of Votann. Are we like the only faction who we've played like everything in our index, right? Like every single unit. has seen like huge quantities in lists, right?
Yeah.
Like probably the only
Finally, the
index.
Grimnir was the last piece of that, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah, like
It really
every
was.
single piece in our index has been played to its fullest, right? There with basically the same set of rules throughout the entire edition.
Yeah.
Very interesting.
We've
Yeah, we
rarely
are
had any
desperate
point
for some
changes
new.
either.
No, yeah, definitely. We were definitely blessed with Oathbound,
Yeah.
despite its rough start.
Yeah. I think
It
that's
kept us
actually a
strong
good
for
idea
now.
for,
Soon.
yeah. I think that's a good idea for a potential video, even just to kind of look back and see the full evolution of where we started, where we ended up, and how kind of like that meta shifted would be pretty interesting to see. All right, chat. So thanks everybody for tuning in to the stream here. It's presently 5:30 on my time, which means it's almost 11 for our boy Tom here. So we're gonna all wrap this one up. Chat, really appreciate you guys tuning in. Of course, Jordan, Tom, thanks so much for coming on. I really appreciate you guys taking some time out of your day to look at these lists with me and share your thoughts on it. And I think we're all pretty much aligned on what this means for the army right now. Any other lingering questions in chat? Let me just see. Aaron Ross, yeah, the warrior list is super interesting. Volcanites just makes sense to specialize the Hearthguard into killing a certain profile with their launchers. It's just not a great niche. Yes, I agree. Haven't seen Jaeger spam yet. Nope, that's probably the only spam we haven't seen. You're right. We haven't seen Jaeger spam, unfortunately. All APM launchers.
Just enough.
I don't know if you
There's no
take the
Jaeger
launches
spam, but
even in Jaeger spam.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh my God. Good to see you're back talking about Votann. Thank you, D-Warm. Appreciate that. Yeah, we took a little bit of a break, but I think it's time to get back into things for sure. So thank you again so much for tuning into the stream today. And of course, thank you, Jordan, Tom. Really appreciate you guys coming on. So you guys have any other events coming up before the life end of the index detachment before we wrap up here?
I've got one final teams event in early September that I'll be taking Votann for.
Nice, nice.
So yeah, that'll be the send off.
Cool. What about you, Jordan?
just the Iron Man. So
Just the Iron Man?
that'll be it.
I have one event that's for sure locked in, a team event, and then I might do an Iron Man too. And I think at the Iron Man, I just want to take like the list I always wanted to run, but maybe was never like the most optimal thing. Like maybe Hearthguard. I kind of missed that just before they change forever, hopefully, right? And like we don't know what's coming. I think it would be nice to do like a little, like yes, this feels nice to have again to play with it one last time before we potentially never see it again. But yeah, I think it's really exciting. A lot of stuff coming up, guys, and we'll obviously be keenly watching the results as they come through for WTC. Thanks so much for watching, everyone, and I'll catch you all in the next one. All right, I think the stream is ended. Yes, one time I ended the stream and I accidentally double-clicked and I resumed it, and